بسم الله الحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقه قولي أما بعد. As we've been reciting in Surah Qiyamah, and again what a powerful surah, as Allah He says, بَلِ الْإِنسَانُ عَلَى نَفْسِهِ بَصِيرًا وَلَوْ أَلْقَى مَعَاذِيرًا. That indeed mankind عَلَى نَفْسِهِ بَصِيرًا, they are going to be testifying against themselves on Yawm al-Qiyamah. As we see, when we come for Salatul Fajr, by the way, it's a minor sign. It reminds us of Qiyamah. Just like how you are waking up in the morning, likewise you'll be resurrected from our graves one day. As we came walking to the masjid today, once we are resurrected, we are going to be going to the place of gathering where we shall stand before Allah. And then Allah says, بَلِ الْإِنسَانُ عَلَى نَفْسِهِ بَصِيرًا. What does this mean? As according to the tafsir of Ibn Kathir, Allah, He mentioned in Surah Yasin that الْيَوْمَ نَخْتِمُ عَلَى أَفْوَاهِهِمْ. Allah, He will seal the mouths of the people on that day. And وَتُكَلِّمُنَا أَيْدِيهِمْ وَأَرْجُلَهُمْ. Our hands, our sight, our faculties are going to be speaking against us on that day. You know, many of the people today, we try to behave sometimes too righteous, so to say. We all, فَلَا تُزَكُّوا أَنفُسَكُمْ. Allah says that don't claim to have taqwa. Don't claim yourselves to be pure, because only Allah truly knows who has taqwa in their hearts. May Allah grant us all taqwa. But sometimes when perhaps, let's say, we are serving the deen, or maybe we are coming every day to the masjid, we are offering our salah in the masjid, sometimes we get deluded, thinking that now we are chosen by Allah, we are definitely close to Allah, we definitely have taqwa, even though we are not too sure. And so sometimes, بَلِ الْإِنسَانُ عَلَى نَفْسِهِ بَصِيرًا. We may be doing things, but our own bodies will be testifying against us on that day. Allāhu Akbar. It's a powerful, powerful statement and something for us to all be afraid of. The same likewise with the Quran. The Quran is known as a witness, muhaymin. It bears witness over us. So we recite the ayat of the Quran perhaps. We explain the Quran. But then let's say we are doing other than what the Quran says. Our actions does not align with the Sharia. Then the Quran itself would bear witness against us on that day. Again, may Allah protect us. May Allah protect us from His wrath, from His anger on Yawm al-Qiyamah. And continuing on with our series on adhkar. Last week, for the past few weeks, we've been going over the concept of afiyah and asking Allah for afiyah. And we continue in that theme. As we know, the next form of dhikr is where we ask Allah again for afiyah. And that is Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam. He would repeat this 3 times in the morning and in the evening, which is Allahumma afini fi badani, Allahumma afini fi sam'i, Allahumma afini fi basari, la ilaha illa ant. Allahumma inni a'udhu bika min al-kufr wal-faqr wa a'udhu bika min adhab al-qabr, la ilaha illa ant. Let's go over the meaning. So Allahumma afini fi badani. Again, let's go over the concept of afwa and afiyah, because it's so important. If we look at Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, multiple times throughout his day, he would be asking Allah for afwa and afiyah. Between the 2 sajdas, we say, Rabbi ghfirli warhamni wa'afini. Grant me afiyah and afwa. Again, what is afwa? Where Allah, He forgives you with complete pardon, meaning there is no trace of any sin whatsoever. Meaning the consequences of any sins is completely wiped out. That sin is completely wiped out from your record, so your faculties will not be bearing witness against you on that day. Again, even the consequences of sin. So when we commit sins, we find uncertainty in the heart. We find anxiousness in the heart. Joy in the heart is removed. And we start feeling grief, depression, and sadness. May Allah protect us from that. These are all of the consequences of sin. Likewise, nur is taken away from the heart as black dots are placed in the heart. And then we find that without the nur, we lack guidance. We do not want to recite the Quran anymore. We do not enjoy ibadah anymore. These are of the consequences of sin also. When we ask Allah for afwa, complete pardon, meaning even the consequences, Ya Allah, remove all trace of it. And the same with afiyah. Afiyah in our health, in our wealth, etc., etc. You're asking Allah to remove all trace of any issue, any negativity whatsoever. So you're saying, Allahumma afini fi badani. Oh Allah, grant me afiyah, or protect me in my body, my health. Wa afini fi sam'i. Allahumma afini fi sam'i. Oh Allah, protect me in my hearing. Allahumma afini fi basari. Oh Allah, protect me in my sight. La ilaha illa ant. For indeed there is none worthy of worship except you alone. What does it mean to protect you? Number one, like we mentioned, physical protection from deterioration or from corruption. As we know, for the people, if we use our faculties in the obedience of Allah whilst we are young, when it is difficult to do so, when we are surrounded by fitan, when it's easy to look, but you still lower your gaze, you still wrestle with your nafs, with your desire to only look at that which is pleasing to Allah, then Allah will preserve that sight for you in your older ages. Many of the people, we are suffering with our health at times. We are suffering, we are losing our sight and our hearing. And the simple answer or the simple question is, what did you do with those faculties when you were young? Did you study the Quran? Did you try to understand the Quran? Did you look at haram? The answer is always yes, and we used to do it when we were young. Again, may Allah forgive us. But there's just something for us to ponder over. So when you're asking Allah to protect you in your hearing, you're asking Allah to protect your hearing from disobedience, to protect you from hearing that which is displeasing to Allah. So it's not only physical but also spiritual. The same thing with our sight, to protect you from seeing that which is haram. That is also, Allahumma afini fi basari. Oh Allah, protect me in my sight. Protect my sight from all the haram. Protect my sight from deteriorating in my later life or as I get older. May Allah grant us all afiyah. Then we continue, Allahumma inni a'udhu bika min al-kufr. Oh Allah, I seek refuge in you from kufr. Kufr is literally the main thing, which is why people will be punished in the akhirah for eternity. So may Allah protect us all from kufr. But we have the kufr of actions along with the kufr of the heart. What is the difference? You have major and minor kufr. Major kufr is when you disbelieve in Allah altogether and you leave the fold of Islam. These people, as Allah mentioned in the Quran, would never be forgiven unless, of course, they retake the shahada. But even then, that comes with a few conditions. So if a person retakes his shahada, and then he commits kufr again, and then he retakes his shahada, but then he commits kufr again, lam yakunillahu liyaghfirahum. Allah says that He would never forgive him thereafter. So again, we do have to take things like this seriously. The kufr of actions, on the other hand, is regarding certain actions we may do, which is called kufr, ingratitude, but we do not leave the fold of Islam. For example, a person, Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, the only difference between a believer and a disbeliever is the salah. So the one who does not offer his salah, he has committed kufr. Now many of the people, we go down the route of khawarij, or those who do khuruj, they leave Ahlus Sunnah wal Jama'ah. They take the understanding that these people are clear kuffar, so they should be killed. A person who does not offer his salah, they should be killed. But the understanding of the salaf, the understanding of the Sahaba, the Tabi'un, Tabi'un, and all of those who follow in their path, they took the understanding that these people have committed the kufr of action, meaning they are still Muslims, but they have committed a deed that is worse than the major sins. Which is why we say, for a person to leave off his salah without a valid reason given in the sharia, it is worse than murder, it is worse than rape, it is worse than all of these things that are major sins. May Allah protect us all from that. But here when we're saying, Allahumma inni a'udhu bika min al-kufri wal-faqr, you're asking Allah to protect you from all manner of kufr. Kufr ni'mah, when we are ungrateful to Allah, we disacknowledge His favors upon us. That is also a form of kufr. May Allah protect us all. So whether it's major kufr, minor kufr, may Allah protect us all. We're saying that. And we're also asking Allah to protect us from poverty. Because it's usually poverty that leads a person to all the sins. It is usually poverty that leads a person to kufr ni'mah. It is usually kufr ni'mah that leads a person to major kufr. So it's all, it starts off small and it continues building. A person may be in some form of poverty today and he starts questioning, why is Allah keeping me in this? Why is Allah humiliating me, as is mentioned in Surah Fajr? When Allah tests a person, فَقَدْرَ عَلَيْهِ رِزْقَهُ, and tightens his rizq, فَيَقُولُ رَبِّي أَهَانًا. He says, my Lord is humiliating me. Why? I'm offering my salah, I'm doing my dhikr, I'm doing everything that a Muslim is supposed to do, yet I'm still not getting more wealth. Yet hardly sometimes we forget that if Allah gives you wealth and children, it doesn't mean that He's honoring you. It doesn't mean that He loves you. A sign that Allah loves you is when He tests you. Allahu Akbar. May Allah grant us all a good understanding. So you're asking Allah, Allahumma inni a'udhu bika min al-kufri wal-faqr wa a'udhu bika min adhab al-qabr. And oh Allah, I seek refuge in you from the punishment of the grave. La ilaha illa ant. Again, the punishment of the grave is such a huge topic. It would take multiple weeks, multiple hours to actually go over them. And it's something that Allah is al-Raḥmān. We can expect Allah, if we've done any sincere deeds, to forgive us when we get to Him on Yawm al-Qiyamah. But we've got to go through the qabr first. That's something we usually forget. The most common reason a person, believers also, will be punished in the qabr is for what? for not ensuring that when he urinates, it doesn't splash onto his clothes, for example. Or for a person who gossips. Many of the Muslims, we do this at times. Again, this also leads us down the road of extremism. I've heard stories of people, they will stay in the bathroom for over 20, 30 minutes, ensuring that literally there's no trace. Sometimes shaitan, he deceives us to such the extent that after we go to the bathroom, we relieve ourselves. There are some people literally, they go into the shower to ensure that there's no drops or anything. Now, this is extremism. This is going to the far end. We are not supposed to do this. Again, everything has to be done in moderation. So when we are relieving ourselves, we ensure that we are doing our best to ensure it doesn't splash onto our clothes or anything as such. And thereafter, once we've tried our best, then we leave the rest to Allah. Then we say, Inna Allāha ghafūrur rahīm, after trying. We do not go to the extremes and we stay in the bathroom for over 20 minutes or for over 30 minutes, etc., etc. May Allah protect us all from that. And again, the punishment of the qabr is something we will go over another time, perhaps, because there's a lot of different punishments that we have to be aware of so that we can protect ourselves. But for now, just realize, just know one thing, that many people will be punished in the qabr. Many of the believers also will be punished in the qabr because of a few things that they did not want to ensure is in place. For example, one of them would be, وَمَنْ لَمْ يَحْكُمْ بِمَا أَنزَلَ اللَّهِ, judging by other than the book of Allah. Yes, today we are living in a secular country. We are living where, of course, we have to follow the law of the land. But when it comes to the Muslim environment, whether it's in your home or in the masjid, are we then just following the secular law? Or are we also following the Sharia? Because those who do not follow or implement the Sharia in their own environments, in your own space, and that is judging other than the book of Allah, or judging by other than the book of Allah. And these people also will be punished in the qabr. And we see many people, subhanAllah, masajid also, they are victim of this, or they are guilty of this. And so we also have to be aware that some people, again, many Muslims will be punished in the qabr. So the best you and I can do is try our best to stay away from that and ask Allah every day, Allahumma inni a'udhu bika min al-kufri wal-faqr wa a'udhu bika min a'adhab al-qabr la ilaha illa ant. 3 times every morning, 3 times every evening. Again, Allahumma aafini fi badani, Allahumma aafini fi sam'i, Allahumma aafini fi basari, la ilaha illa ant. Allahumma inni a'udhu bika min al-kufri wal-faqr wa a'udhu bika min a'adhab al-qabr la ilaha illa ant. May Allah grant us all a good understanding. May Allah enable us to perfect our routine of adhkar. And we'll finish off on this one final note, and that is a person, he asked me a question, that when it comes to the adhkar, he finds it too heavy. There's so many different forms of adhkar. There's over 50 forms of adhkar. And to implement them all, it's too heavy for him. He finds himself becoming lazy. Maybe one day he'll do it, one day he won't do it. So what should we do in that situation when we're finding it too difficult? And the simple question or the simple answer is, this is something we have to do over time. Iman doesn't increase and strengthen itself overnight within a blink of an eye. And we do not get a habit set in place overnight, just like that. Rather, it takes time to build it. 1 week, start off with 3. A week later, or maybe a month later, when you're consistent with 3, add another one and add another one. But if we're finding it too difficult because we have other things to do, maybe we need to go to work or anything as such, then the answer to that is different. Because if we told you that we're going to give you £1 for every single form of dhikr you do, now subhanAllah, you'll be doing each and every single dhikr every morning, every evening. Like we said, there's over 50. Take subhanAllahi wa bihamdi, saying it 100 times. That's already £100 over there. Along with the rest of the dhikr, you're earning a good £250 in the morning itself. You're going to leave your work and just focus on doing dhikr the entire day, and you'll be richer than everybody else. You would be doing it. But now, because we have to go to work and everything else, you don't want to do it. The simple answer is, for that is different. That is laziness, that is kasal. And like we mentioned in the ayah last time, is that if you love anything more than Allah, His Messenger, and making an effort for Allah, striving in the path of Allah, then wait for the punishment of Allah to come to you. May Allah protect us all from that. May Allah grant us all the ability, the motivation, and make it easy for us to implement our adhkar